Hey guys, welcome back to According To. I'm Megan.
And I'm Ciera. And for this week's episode, Megan and I thought it'd be fun to talk about some tips, tricks, and ideas for staying off your phone.
Off your darn phone. Because it's something that we are all struggling with. Like, it's just the day and age that we live in where screen time is crazy. And I feel like, I don't know what it was within like the past 2 or 3 weeks specifically where I was just like, I really need to like get off of my phone as much as I am. I will go to my screen time to see if I can back this up. But like, I think there was a decent drop within the past kind of week or two to, back up what I'm saying a little bit. But I feel like we can talk about, specific strategies for trying to encourage yourself to stay off your phone, but also kind of where do you redirect that energy and time into as well? Because oftentimes you're on your phone because you're bored. And so what other outlets and things of that nature could you do to possibly be a little bit more productive with your time? Main reason being, I feel like when you're on your phone and screen time goes up, that usually means you're like doom scrolling and you probably just like aren't in a great mental headspace. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here. We need to do our weekly spotlights and our book updates first. So we can kind of we can rewind a little bit and we'll do that to get started.
My weekly spotlight would be a combination of the Super Bowl. I'm pleased with the results.
I was going to say, I had so much fun watching the Super Bowl.
I was rooting for the Eagles, not like for any particular reason, except for like I don't really care for the Chiefs.
You're tired of the Chiefs winning.
Bored of them winning. And then also Cooper DeJean is an Iowa alum, and he had a heck of a game.
It was so fun to watch him. That was like, you could not have asked, like he personally could not have asked for a better game, a better rookie season. Like, if you don't know, it was his birthday on the Super Bowl. It's his rookie season. This is his first season in the NFL. He got a pick 6, which like that's your dream if you're in his position. They just did really well.
Yeah. So had a lot of fun
about it.
watching the game. And then my other spotlight is that my running journey continues to go well so far. I just finished like the first official like week I'm using now. I've settled on the Nike Run Club for my half marathon training. I'm doing the 12-week program. I just finished week 1 on Saturday, and I finished with a 5-mile run, which was not fun, but I did it. And that's half the battle, more than half the battle, honestly.
I'm gonna stick with the Super Bowl being my weekly spotlight. So, book update wise,
and we can also probably update book club
I know,
stuff.
yeah, we will. And I'm so tired if you guys are so sick of hearing me talk about book club, because I'm not intending for it to be this like us blabbering and telling you to either join the book club, but I just feel like within the past 2 or 3 weeks, it is officially up and running now. So I feel like I have more clarification that I can give you guys if you're still kind of wanting or considering joining. So what I realized was that after I had said all the good things about book club last week, was that no one was able to join. Like, it would not let anyone subscribe to the podcast. So that led me down this whole rabbit hole. That being said, now we've decreased it to $2.99 a month instead, which is good news for you guys. It should allow you to either subscribe on Spotify if that's where you choose to listen, or I also realized that if you're not a Spotify listener, you are not going to have access to the bonus content. So we have also created a Patreon. Both of these are linked. I think we're going to try and start putting them in all the episode descriptions, but they are linked in our podcast description as well if you scroll to the bottom, both of those options. So it's the same exact content, only subscribe to one or the other if you're interested. But if you're a Spotify listener, you will get our monthly recap stuff on Spotify if you choose to listen there. Or if you subscribe on Patreon, you'll get links to our unlisted YouTube channel, and we'll have the videos uploaded there for you guys to watch and listen. But we've got people in the Fable app now. I'm very excited because we're actually starting like the interaction part of the book club, which is the whole point. That's the fun of joining. If you're interested, again, really only think about joining if you're reading the books that Ciera and I usually talk about reading on here, because otherwise you're probably not going to like the books that we choose to read. So that's going to be romance, that's going to be fantasy, maybe some science fiction, maybe some thriller. But if you like the books that we talk about, or you feel like you have similar reading style, that is who.
Or like maybe you want to get into reading, let us guide you.
So we're voting on, by the time this is up, we'll have voted on our first book. So when you join, if you haven't yet, you'll already know. I can tell you our 4 options, excuse me. Maybe that'll help you decide whether or not you're joining this month or not. But let's see. I have to go to my poll quick. I know one of the options was Deep End by Allie Hazelwood because I've got to admit that's been kind of top of my mind. And then we had someone suggested The Favorites by Lane Fargo. And then A Shadow in the Ember was another option by Jennifer Armentrout. That's a romantasy, and it's the first in a series. And then we have First Time Caller, which I cannot read the author on my picture, but that was an also newer release that I thought would be good just because it had pretty good reviews, and I was trying to focus on newer releases if possible so that we could hopefully have people having not read the book yet. So those are our 4 options that we're voting on. The poll closes in 52 hours, so this episode will already be up and that will have closed. But you'll be able to join and see what we've picked if you're so inclined. That being said, I most recently finished reading Quicksilver by Callie Hart, and I gave it a 4.5 stars out of 5. I really, really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the characters, and I'm very much looking forward to when the second book eventually comes out, which I think is November of this year. It's the later half of the year. But I really liked it. It gave me ACOTAR vibes in the sense that, like, that's just kind of like what the world felt like. And I also felt like the main characters, it had that same kind of found family vibe. And like the main guy, like the main male character, which I'm like, his name was, what was his name? Give me a second, it'll maybe come back to me. He was reminding me of Rhysand a little bit, but then he had like one main guy best friend that was reminding me a lot of Cassian. And so when other characters just like start reminding me of other characters, specifically at ACOTAR, I just feel like I'm like in a safe little bubble.
Like I'm safe here.
Excuse me, sorry, I just touched the microphone. Yeah, I can't, his name is escaping me at Kingfisher, that's his name. Fisher as well, by short.
I was like
shortened.
Kingfisher all the time.
So yeah, I enjoyed it and I would recommend, and I highly await book number 2. I am now reading our in-person book club book, which is Variations.
I think just Variation.
And it's by Rebecca Yarros. She's the popular author of Fourth Wing, but this is one of her more contemporary romance novels. And I'm getting through it pretty quick. I feel like she has kind of more of a sad or complex undertone to her romance stuff. Like there's usually like a complicated past. This is the second one I've read of her. And they both kind of follow that trajectory or that component of the story. So it's a little bit different than just a typical contemporary romance.
I just finished reading Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. It's the 3rd book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. I've given them all 4 stars, but if I had to like rank them in terms of my favorite to least favorite, my favorite was Done and Dusted. That's the first one. I don't know if it was just like I was on vacation, so like reading it was
like the perfect
quick.
Just period of time for you to read it.
But like I read it when we were on vacation in San Diego for a bachelorette trip, and like I consumed it in one day. It was amazing. Then I read Switched and Saddled. That one was good. I think it was my least favorite now, comparing all 3 of them. And then Lost and Lassoed, I think I put in the number 2 spot. But again, I gave them all 4 stars, so they're all good.
They're all fun, quick, easy reads.
And now I'm also currently reading Variation. I'm not very far.
What are your? Do you have any initial thoughts on it?
My only thoughts so far was that there was like there's like a group of 4 sisters, and I was getting confused between all of them. And I feel like I just need to read a little bit more to like I'm already kind of parsing them apart, but.
Yeah, it was a lot of
whoa.
names initially. And also, like, you had, like, some different time situations where it was, like, it said what the time stuff was, but it was also kind of hard to keep track of. And then there's, like, some of the chapters usually are starting with, like, little, like, screen names with, like, I'm guessing now that this is, like, there's an app in this universe where I think it's just kind of giving, like, the outside world, like, the voice and opinions on
the characters.
Like, the characters. And it's not really related to said chapter. But initially, I was quite confused on like how that fit into everything else that I was reading. But I'm just not reading too far into it, so.
Anyway, that is our book update. Any other updates for life or otherwise before we?
My dating life is non-existent, so there is nothing to update there. Yeah.
Thank you for the update.
Okay. So, screen time. Should we pull up what are our screen times?
Sure.
At least on our phone.
I feel like mine's not that bad, if I'm being totally honest. I think
What is considered a good and bad screen time?
I think mine's like honestly 3.5 hours.
See, mine right now says I'm down 28% from last week. I need to go to right now today so far, or my daily average, I guess. My phone says is 2 hours and 56 minutes.
Where does it say? Oh, I found it. My daily average is 3 hours and 41 minutes.
I'm trying to figure out if
which I really don't feel like is that bad.
Oh, I can go back to the previous week. Okay, last week my average was 4 hours and 7 minutes. The week before that, it was 5.5 hours. So you can see I'm on a downward trend, hopefully. Week before that was 5 hours. So probably just like roughly, I would say my screen time is like probably 4 to 5 hours. But I've been trying to make it a point, which is what I'm working on, to decrease it and not spend so much time on my phone. Part of this was, I feel like initially the Kickstarter for me was I've got all sorts of social media apps, okay? I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I have TikTok, I have X, and it was just like, I'm doing my circles, I'm doing my rounds on my social media, and my X specifically, I don't know if this is because Elon Musk has taken over and is promoting his new algorithm, but I was just like, I'm scrolling on X, and I'm just like, what is my feed? It's all politics. It's all stuff that I, quite frankly, don't agree with for the most part. And I was just like, and why am I forcing myself to just like sit and scroll and look at this when I don't know who these people are? I don't know who these people are. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm being fed stuff that I just said I don't really agree with. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? I'm not really getting any news out of it. Because to be honest, that's what, like, Twitter used to be. I loved Twitter because it had Twitter moments. I felt like that I could easily access and see any like breaking or major news on there in a way that was easily consumable. I used to really enjoy that. Like the Twitter moments specifically, Ciera and I miss dearly. They don't really have that anymore. And so I feel like just progressively over the past few months, like my Twitter, my X has gotten worse and worse and worse. And I feel like I'm getting less and less out of it that's really meaningful. So I made the decision like a week and a half ago to at least delete it from my phone. I haven't technically deleted my account because I was like, who knows, I'll probably do that and then I'll like want to get on it for something. And initially, I would say one moment where it actually, like at this point now, like I am honestly not really noticing that it's absent from my life. So like being a week and a half out, I'm pretty pleased. But I will say when the Grammys were on last week, like I was craving something to just kind of be like a little Discord server for myself. And like, I'm seeing what I'm seeing on the screen. I want to know what other people are seeing on the screen. Like, what are their thoughts on this person's performance or thoughts? And I didn't have like any sort of sounding board, which I was realizing I'm kind of used to, even though I'm like, I don't really need to know what everyone else is thinking about this moment right here, right now. So I was trying to instead busy myself with a puzzle while I was watching the Grammys, which I theoretically, if I had like a half-done puzzle and then I was watching the Grammys, that would have been more enjoyable because I was struggling to try and get that puzzle started and organized.
Have you tried Blue Sky?
I have not. Mostly because I'm kind of trying to gauge like whether I feel like I really need like something to fill a gap or if it's something that I can just like quite frankly go without. You know what I mean? So far, I'm shocked at how little I miss it, which kind of has led me to question, like, quite frankly, that about any other social media app. TikTok in my mind, I'm like, well, surely I would miss TikTok. I did go without that for 17 hours, and it was a couple weeks ago. But like, there's probably other apps I could feasibly do that with and kind of get the same benefit.
Like Facebook? How often do you go on Facebook?
I know I go on Facebook multiple times a day, but that would probably be the next easiest app for me to test it out with. The only other thing that that I did notice too was like for X, I did have to access it on my computer because when I was having issues with this whole Spotify situation, usually I try to use Twitter as kind of like a search engine of sorts if I'm wondering if other people are having a similar problem. So I was kind of using it on my computer to search Spotify related issues to payments, and I kind of found some stuff, but like nothing really helped me out. Anyways,
you probably didn't need to rely on X for that.
Let's see. What I have been doing now instead, because like I said, I've been not pleased with what I've been seeing on the app anyways, but I had been using it kind of as like my what's going on in the world, what's trending, just to be aware. And I don't have like a great app, but I've had previously like Yahoo for whatever reason. I don't know why Yahoo. It's just like that's where I have my email on, so that's what I'm familiar with. But they have like their little top stories of the day.
And they used to have like 70 stories.
They've increased it actually. It's now like 22. So
Okay.
they've increased it recently. But now when I wake up in the morning, if I'm wanting to right away see if like the world's in a treacherous place or not, see if I missed any overnight news, I have been checking that on my phone, which I don't have an app for it. I just go on the Safari on my phone and I'm like, any breaking stories? No. And then like there's like a local news channel that I check as well for any local news, but I was already doing that before. So I've kind of am like, okay, I got my quote unquote news fix, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that continues.
Also for your news fix is listen to the Up First by NPR. That's a podcast, but gives you your top 3 stories in 15 minutes. And that goes on double speed.
I could. That would be. They don't count. Podcasts don't count towards your screen time if you're not on your phone. Correct? I would not think so.
I don't think so. Because mine would be way longer for sure.
Yeah. That's an idea. Something to ponder. It'd be nice, like, especially let's say if I'm getting my breakfast ready in the morning, like that'd be an easy thing.
Yeah. I usually do it on my drive
then
to
I
work.
don't feel like I like jamming out to my music on my drive to work.
Okay.
So, because I've been trying, this has been like a not hard and fast rule, but like other than kind of checking any notifications on my phone, like when I get up to see if I need to look at anything, I have been trying to like leave my phone just like on my charger and then go about like my morning with getting my breakfast and stuff situated.
I mean, like you don't need to look at this.
Yeah. But like the podcast could be kind of nice. So something to think about. Facebook wise, like I don't use Marketplace.
You know what I miss?
Ciera misses Facebook news.
It was the weirdest stories ever. At least mine was.
I never used Facebook news. Didn't even know it was a thing. I only know it's a thing because Ciera's such a fan.
I miss it.
The only thing too, though, that I have to like think about when I'm deleting these apps is I'm so used to like the home screen of my phone and what it looks like. I had to replace like the X with Spotify. Actually was not on my home screen, so I dragged it over and it's fitted nicely because it's got the same dark background. But if I keep deleting these apps, I need to find similarly colored apps to then fill their place because that's just how my mind works and how I'd prefer things to be. But
When do you find...
Sorry,
you can finish your...
No, you can go ahead. I don't really have a thought.
When do you find yourself like reaching for your phone most often? Like, do you feel like you're like, okay, I need to check this out specifically? Or is it like, well, I don't know what else to do, so pick up my phone, twiddle my thumbs.
I feel like, unfortunately, it's just like so habitual now that like I want whatever dopamine hit like is entering my brain. Like I could be reading and perfectly happy and content reading my book, but after like a little bit, I'm gonna want like for whatever reason, I just want like the satisfaction of like doing a once over of my phone and the apps, even though it's so unnecessary, to just like get whatever dopamine releases into my brain and say like, okay, you're satisfied. You did your little check of all your little apps. Maybe you did a couple TikTok scrolls. Now you can go back to doing what you're doing. I'm trying to get rid of that hold.
It's also hard now because it used to be like
I literally
apps.
have done the Pomodoro method for reading sometimes, and it's like, for what? What are the 5 minutes that I'm using on my phone? What is it for?
Yeah.
Which is better than, I guess, just straight up screen time. But
the apps that like we use for social media used to be like pretty straightforward, and then like here's who you follow, you see who's following, you see that stuff, and then like you're done.
Yeah. And now stuff is so
it's like all
endless scrolling.
algorithmically like never ending, and so there is no set endpoint where it's like, it used to be like, oh, I'm just going to go on Twitter and see if there's anything new, and then I'll put it away. I'm going to go on Facebook, see what's new. Now it's like, oh, well, it's just every time you refresh, there's something new.
And there's stuff that like they'll think you just want to see based off your algorithm, even if you aren't following it. Which is just, I mean, it's good at doing what it's trying to do.
Doing what it's supposed to do. It wants your eyes to stay on the app as long as possible.
I haven't done this in quite some time. And I don't know if you've ever tried it, but like putting a screen limit on, or a time limit on an app, that would be interesting. I should try and encourage myself to do that for TikTok, for example.
Because like the only way you can pry that app out of my hands.
Like, let me see what I average on TikTok a day, and we can see if I'll do it right now for you guys. We'll set this together, and I can report next week how much I do or don't stick with it. Because as much as I love TikTok, and I really do,
do you feel like there is a difference though between like, can you intentionally use TikTok versus like being unintentional with it? You know what I mean?
I mean, I do feel like part of it is going to be based on your algorithm and whether or not you feel like it's programmed in an algorithm that is good for you. I know when I'm using it most of the time, like, there is no thought probably behind what I'm trying to do.
No, I know, but I'm saying like, sometimes you sit down and you're like, I'm watching Netflix because I want to be entertained. So in the same way, you could say, I have nothing else to do right now. I'm not procrastinating. I would like to go on TikTok for the length of a TV show and like just be entertained. I don't think that's bad.
I don't think that's bad either. But I just feel like I probably could set this time limit of what I would assume to be kind of a generous enough time limit. And we'll see if I can stick with it or not.
I think the issue is when your phone gets in the way of you doing the things that you need to or should be doing during the day.
How do I find my screen time again? What app besides TikTok do you feel like, and I know you could probably look on your phone, what one do you feel like gets you otherwise screen time wise?
TikTok was definitely the main one. Let me go back. I think Instagram is possibly up there.
Okay, let's see. I've got an hour, 10 minutes on TikTok. Yesterday, what the heck? Oh, last week. Okay, I was like, in a day, this says 12 hours and 5 minutes. But that was for the whole week.
My phone, I think based off of last week, was saying that I averaged 1 hour and 50 minutes on TikTok.
I'm going to do a screen time that blocks me at an hour and a half. I averaged 1.7 hours a day last week. So this is a little bit less, but like an hour and a half of time on TikTok. Like, I would like to think that that would be sufficient. So, and or I feel like I heard Adam Harrison talking about this actually in Match Made last week. He does a screen limit, I think, on TikTok. And he says it encourages him to be more mindful of like, oh, this isn't like prime TikTok time. I don't want to waste my minutes on this right now. Like, I don't need to do that right now. Mm-hmm. To be more intentional with like, okay, yeah, now I think I'm going to sit down and like enjoy TikTok it for a little bit for the enjoyment purpose.
I could see that.
But not, okay, now I have to figure out how to set an app limit. Let's do this.
This is, I think, based off of like the past 2 days or something. Because I'm on Instagram was like 46 minutes, I think, averaged over today and yesterday. 32 minutes on messages, 29 minutes on Pinterest, 25 minutes on Safari, 20 minutes on the freaking watch app because my watch has not been connected to my phone for like months. So I just spent some time yesterday updating it and reconnecting it.
20 minutes on the watch app.
So, but you can tell I do not spend very much time on X these days. 7 minutes. The Nike Run Club is up there now. 13 minutes. Spotify. My New York Times games.
This was going to limit me to an hour of social for all platforms.
Ooh.
No. Just TikTok for now. An hour and a half TikTok limit. Okay. It's been set. The one time I did this before, I don't remember what app I was doing it for. It was probably Instagram. But I very quickly, I just would like ignore that time limit so fast.
Skip.
Because that's all you have to do. And I don't remember if it like is a snooze type of thing or if it like goes off again after a certain amount of time. But I kind of feel like it would just be like ignore for the day. And I'd be like, yeah. Instagram, to be honest, I feel like after a couple days, that'd be an app where I would kind of like realize I don't need to go on it as much as I feel like I do. Like, I don't post much on there. I like people's content. Like, I do like seeing the things people are posting. But I follow so few people at this point in time that, like, I do kind of feel like I end up on the Explore page and, like, I'm just looking at whatever.
Nothing on my Explore page.
I'll peruse my Explore page. I don't really even know what my Explore page is right now.
I feel like my Explore page is always weird. Like,
What is
I'm
it
like
right
on
now?
my Explore page right now. It's showing proof that baby face isn't ugly. What? Did you know spending time in a bath has positive impact, and if the water is warm, even better. This is because of the pressure that the warm water puts on your chest. The steam clears your sinuses, and as
This is a
makes
strange.
it easier to breathe.
I mostly have, like, I've got some therapy related stuff. I've got like some
Like, I swear this
couples
is not tailored for
posting
me.
at sports events.
Does this look like me?
No. Mine's like pretty, like, just random, generic. I probably know of these people for the most part in some way, shape, or form.
Okay. Aside from like setting app timers and limits and stuff, what do you think people could do with like the physical use of their phone or like rules they could set with themselves?
I feel like a common one, this is one that I have yet to implement because I personally, I've never tried it. Some people will, to start off their day, like, this is actually not related. I was going to say to get up out of bed, people will set their phones across their room, which isn't really related. That's more so how to get yourself up out of bed for the day.
Some people have like a time limit. Like, I can't touch my phone or like look at my phone for the first hour of the day or whatever time you find appropriate, which is kind of what you were saying.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I was trying to leave it on my charger. What else could you do physically throughout the day? I feel like when I get home, like, let's say it's a work day and I get home from work, there's like a few select things that I kind of am like, okay, these are things that I'd like to get done this evening, ideally. So podcasting was one of those things for me. I am using my phone throughout this as a means of making the podcast for you guys. But the only thing I really had planned as part of my evening was like, okay, I know I want to do some more reading. So I feel like I kind of tend to habitually like put my phone where it's within reach, but something that would be easy to do would be like bringing it upstairs, putting it on the charger, or even like setting it off. We have a charger in our living room that's like off to the side. If I'm not right next to it, I feel like even that would encourage me to not want to reach for it as much to like interrupt myself. What other kind of tasks do you do on a weekday where it's like, okay, I'm not going to let my phone distract me for this?
Well, I feel like this is, I don't know if this is related to like tasks that I need to do, but I've noticed like since I've been running more, like I have my phone with me, obviously, because I need it for like safety, but then also it's like my music, tracking, my running and stuff. But like holding a phone and like trying to like use your phone when you're running is very cumbersome. So what I have started doing is like I'll turn my ringer on so I know like if I had a message come in, like I like to be able to like check it if I need to. But then like I've set this ground rule of like if it's a non-emergent message that doesn't warrant a response, then like I'm not going to respond because then it prevents from like more responding, So like there have been times where I've been running and like you or Maggie or Haley has sent a text that's like it doesn't warrant my response, at least at that point in time, or like my boyfriend's texting
you just get
been,
bombarded with us responding to each other probably then and you're like getting a full conversation anyways.
But like then like I'm basically like not on my phone for like the full 30 to 60 minutes that I'm running, so it's like a nice little like brain break.
Little detox, little
Yeah.
phone detox.
So it's been nice, and like it's easy enough to do because it's like using my phone would make this harder. So
Yeah.
I don't feel inclined to use it. But I also feel like having the, because I feel like some people would say like just like don't worry about the ringer at all and like completely ignore it, and like maybe I'll get there someday. But I feel like it helps to know like a message did come in instead of me being like, well, what if a message came in? And then I'd be like, I'll just check quick.
Yeah.
Like every 5 minutes.
This is making me, I'm correlating this out to like other workout types, and I'm kind of like, again, not that there's anything inherently bad with like checking your phone during a workout break, but sometimes again it leads to distractions of like pushing off your next set, or you're getting distracted. So I'm like, what do you do other than just stand there, wait for your next set? I mean, I don't know what else you would do, because just do your next workout, do the next exercise. I should try and challenge myself to do a full workout, and other than like maybe messing with like music, trying to not like go on an app to like scroll through, even if it's a rest break, because I feel like it very easily, I know I prolong some of my rest breaks because I'm just on my phone.
I've done before. It's like screen time, but then I'm like trying to read. Like I've used like my Kindle app on my phone.
Too. And then guess what? I'm
like
getting a little bit distracted.
I've been reading for 5 minutes between sets.
I haven't done that in a while, because like there was times, especially like if I'm really invested in a book, I try and be like, you can go work out, but like you can read this between sets. And I'm like, I love that you love that book so much, Megan. Like that's really great, but like
you're trying to work out.
This is a little bit too much at the same time. Just wait. Put it off to later.
Yeah. Get
your workout in. I have done that. I've made a note to myself to since like, don't do that. Don't pull your Kindle app out. And that's why I've designated my 12-3-30 days, which I did this morning. I was like, this is my reading morning. I'm not working out this morning. I'm reading while I'm walking on the treadmill. And yeah, that's a good screen time though.
It is. That's one I will gladly accept.
We should increase that. Other ways.
How do you feel like you do, like, I think screen time becomes an issue with people when it's, like, in social situations.
When my screen time is down, I ain't touching my phone at work.
No,
at all.
Either.
Like, literally,
if
I do see stuff on
I look at my screen time, like, for today, and, like, it'll show it
like,
hourly.
literally, when I start work at 8 o'clock, sometimes during lunch I can do a decent check through, but, like, not often. But, like, it is as if, like, whatever's happening in the outside world, I do not know.
It's none of your business. It's not. I don't know how to get it to show hourly, so I don't know.
No, I just feel like my screen time at work.
Okay, I'm looking at it now.
Crazy.
It was like this morning. It's like 5:30 to 6, a little bit, from like 7.
Does it break it up hourly?
Kind of. I mean, I'm like guesstimating the hours, but yeah.
You can see when you got home.
Mm-hmm. So, but it's.
Did I interrupt you for something?
We were talking about like social interactions for like, I think screen time can be like detrimental when, obviously, like personally, it can be detrimental if it's like distracting you from the things that you need to do. But I think it's also like, imagine you're in like a group setting, whether it's with friends, with family, and like no one wants to be like the person or the kid or the
get
whoever
off your phone.
that they're like, these kids can't get off their phone for 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I note in those situations that I could probably do better at that, because like I'm not dumb. I'm aware that like if I'm with someone and I'm on my phone while I'm with them, that like it's not ideal. Like I'd like to be present and paying attention to whoever it is that I'm with. But I'm not a perfect person, and so I don't claim to be always 100% successful with that. I try really, like, if I'm like out to dinner, except for when I'm with Ciera, because to be honest, we're at that point we're eating dinner separately sometimes, but just like together. Which means I'm not trying to like this is not like a unique situation where we've both taken time out of our day to go chat and converse with each other. Part of it, I feel like you can kind of match the screen time vibes of the person you're with. Like, I know if we just went to dinner with Maggie, I'm making an assumption, but I feel like it's a safe assumption that I know that Maggie's not going to be super offended if we kind of check our phone or are on our phone for a little bit when we're eating together. Just as like I would not be super mad if she did the same. But like if I'm with my grandma, for example, she's not going to go on her phone much during the dinner. So I should probably be kind and stay off of my phone and be present. I'll try and be more cognizant of that, I think. That would be a good...
Match the screen time vibes. I also feel like it's harder in some ways, like, more like intimate groups. It's easier to, like, clock that versus, like if it's you with, like, one-on-one with another person, you're, like, just, you'd feel rude if you are on your phone and, like, the other person's not. But, like, as the group expands and it's, like, larger social circles that kind of, like, break off into smaller groups, you're like, well, no one's going to notice if I'm just on my phone over here quick. So
it was true.
That can be tricky because I feel like yesterday, even like Haley's Super Bowl party, like I'm sure I was on my phone. I was also like looking at stuff related to the Super Bowl. So
you want to see what other people are saying. You're what fishbowl that we all exist in, and we need to know what everyone else is thinking.
But like, could that have been rude? Maybe.
What other aspects or areas would be beneficial to like allocate time? I feel like this does kind of start bleeding back into like we've done an episode related to like hobbies that we've gotten into or what things could you get invested in, I guess. I have been mostly trying to redirect my time into reading. That's probably been my main one. And honestly too, like I've noticed especially the past, let's say 3 weeks in particular, and like the weekends too, I must admit, I've been like, I am bored. What can I do because I am bored? But I've been trying to usually, this isn't good or bad per se, but like usually I allow myself to go, run errands or go to the mall or go to Target. And I'm not going to say I haven't done that the past 3 weeks, but I know that I'm doing it solely for the purpose to like quote unquote entertain myself and not be bored. And for better or worse, I've kind of just been allowing myself to like sit in the boredom to like not just encourage myself to go spend money at these places just for no reason at all. And it has been kind of boring, but also I'm implementing some discipline to not Haley. I've been thinking about Haley in our podcast episode from a couple weeks ago when she said she's just like letting herself be bored and like it's okay if you're bored. And I have been bored. It hasn't all been fun, but
are you consciously trying to limit not just your phone time, but like other screen time as well, like TV, computer?
Not as specifically.
Do you feel like there's a difference between those?
I feel like, TV wise, to be honest, like I should be encouraging myself to try and watch a TV show because that would require an increased attention span to do so. On my computer, like I really, other than dealing with the Spotify stuff, I usually only am on my computer for YouTube related stuff. And like I know you can kind of like get stuck in a little bit of like scrolling on there, but like I feel like it's kind of harder because I kind of run through like my videos that I know I want to watch, and then I'm kind of like, yeah, that was kind of it.
Sometimes I want YouTube to like get me.
So I kind of am like, I feel like they don't really give me as much as they even want to watch. So then it's over before I'm even ready for it to be.
This is unrelated, but what you said about like attention span with like TV shows and stuff made me laugh. Like imagine, this is like me thinking like my therapy brain. So you were like more of an OT intervention for attention or speech, but like you just like watch a TV show with the patient being like, gotta watch it, and then like we'll answer questions about it. That would be like my dream intervention. Let's watch a TV show and see what you can recall. Group session. What do you guys want to watch?
Group session. What do you guys want to watch? And we're gonna make a quiz about this later, so keep your mind peeled and your eyes sharp.
That was quite the way to word that. That would be like literally like my dream scenario, though. I would love to do that. I could never, but I would love to.
I feel like I couldn't justify that.
No.
Not for therapy anyways.
Insurance would look at that and be like, what?
What else besides reading? I have my little hobbies and stuff. Like I said, I was trying to start a puzzle. I haven't pulled that out since I watched the Grammys, but it's an option. I haven't done any crocheting recently because I've been trying to do a little bit more focus on my reading. And also, like, I haven't fully decided. It's hard. The hardest thing for me for crochet between projects is, like, deciding what I have the energy to, like, actually create again. Because then, like, that's what I'm committed to making for however long it takes to make it. And so I haven't decided yet.
So I'm seeing some different strategies for what people have used to narrow down their screen time. Someone said turn grayscale mode on to make your phone less appealing. So I guess, like, you know how, like, there's science to show, like, oh, blue and yellow and whatever colors these apps use, like, make you feel a certain way. So if you grayscale it, it's less appealing. Could you imagine going on Instagram with, like, grayscale? That would be boring. Someone said set app limits. That's kind of what you said already. Delete time-wasting apps, or at least move them to a hidden folder. That would be kind of, like, nice, like, the extra steps to, like, create a little barrier to entry of, like, you gotta scroll.
You know, it's funny.
And then be like, should I really go to TikTok?
This is one, like, this is an example of, like, this has been more of a nuisance because I've gotten a couple new apps. My Hinge, I've always kept just, like, deleted and, like, not on, like, a screen, but, like, it's just
on the
tucked
phone.
away on a different folder. And it's rearranged where, like, I've gotten enough apps since I've gotten Hinge where now it's like, I really have to kind of go searching for it. And so I'm like, is it worth it?
I thought when you have hidden apps, you could, like, I guess, let me see.
Like,
I guess, yeah, you have to scroll to, like, like this one.
It used to be right there, and now, like, I have to go in a little bit more to get to it.
Creating some work for you. You're like, am I trying to do this?
This is a little less easy to access for me. One extra tap.
This is
a little bit hard.
Other strategies, replace scrolling with another activity. That's kind of what we had mentioned. I feel like it's more so, like, for me at least, I only feel bad about, like, my excessive scrolling. Well, I guess I feel bad in two ways. One, if I'm, like, procrastinating, doing something that I know I need to do, and I'm like, why am I doing this when I'm just going to stress myself out more because I know I should be doing something else. And then two, when I'm like, I don't have anything to do, but I am scrolling, and I'm like, I could be doing something better with my time than just scrolling. Like, I'm not particularly enjoying
what
it.
I don't like, and this is kind of what drove my initial start, is, like, I don't like at the end of a work day for me to feel like all I did was spend my evening scrolling on my phone. Because then I'm like, well, I certainly could have done something a little bit more useful for my time than that. I personally feel like reading is more enriching for me than that. So it's just kind of one of those things where I'm like, I know that I could enrich my mind in other ways, shapes, or forms. That could even be like, I'm not saying you have to, like, read or do something, but, like, maybe it means you're wanting to watch a show with your significant other and, like, actually bond a little bit more with the time that you have with them in your evenings rather than, like, individually having your own separate screen time. I'm just trying to feel like I'm living my life a little bit more better than just on my phone.
That's fair. Said, give yourself a purpose before unlocking your phone. Ask, why am I picking this up?
I bet 9 times out of 10,
it's like, I'd be like, no reason.
I have nothing. There is no reason.
Phone-free hangouts with friends, or set no phone hours with family or roommates. Oh my God, you know, like, those boxes that people would, like, get and, like, lock their phone in? I don't personally think you need to buy a box to do a phone-free amount of time, but, or, like, have you seen, this is, like, more so, like, you go out to dinner with, like, family or a group of friends,
stack your phones,
and everyone stacks their phones up, and whoever touches their phone first has to, like, pay for dinner.
Hey,
there's like a certain time,
a useful
frame,
tactic,
you know, where it's like, after an hour we gotta go. So, like, we're just paying separately.
I think those are, like, good, simple, like, realistic tactics, though. We'll implement that at our next family dinner. How about that?
Okay.
We need to plan a family dinner first.
Do you think it's better to have, like, the small, like, okay, I'm gonna go on my phone for, like, 1 minute and have, like, that quick dopamine hit, you're done, don't look at your phone for another X amount of time? Or do you think we need to, or you, doesn't need to be like a one size fits all?
Royal.
Do you think it's like we need to just like not look at our phones as much?
Ideally, I would just like to break that habit if I can, to feel like I need that dopamine hit and kind of try to just be more intentional with like,
or like
I'm
what
going
is crazy?
on my phone for this reason. Even if it is more intentional of like, even if it's like, okay, I haven't checked my phone in like, let's say it's actually been a reasonable amount of time. Okay,
why?
I'm going to do my caps doing a refresh when I just did that 10 minutes ago. You know? I don't know what like that set time would be where it's like, okay, now I feel reasonably like I can.
I think it's the moment when you're like, you stop doing something and you're like, I haven't looked at my phone for a while. Like,
right.
You know, when you have like that feeling.
I'd love to have more of those.
Yeah. And you're like, I wasn't thinking about going on my phone.
And then
like,
you check your phone and
nothing is
you're
new.
checked up. You're caught up in 5 minutes or less. Insightful. You were talking about checking your phone and having a.
Oh, I do remember what I was going to say,
Okay.
actually.
I was like, I'm just going to throw words in.
I'm just going to talk until you remember. Like how many of us, myself included, feel like lost without a phone. And like older adults would like make fun of people for being like, oh, you'd be lost without a thing. But like I genuinely, if I don't have my phone, I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I probably, like, that's probably not good that I feel that way. So, just an observation.
Because I've mentioned some reading and puzzles. What for you are ways that you feel like you could redirect some time to offload from your screen time?
I don't know.
If anything, like, it certainly introduces like the potential for like there could be many other things you could fill your time with.
I mean, like, my book journal is one that like I've been kind of like ebbing and flowing with that one. I've pulled it out a couple of times, like a little bit more recently than I had been. Like, I'm trying to like set time aside to be like, that would be fun to do. Mm-hmm. Like, I need more fun things to do. You know what I mean?
Not that I need to introduce like yet another new hobby and craft into my life, but I have seen like air dry clay and like people painting air dry clay. I've seen magnets for air dry clay. That does seem a little bit messier than what I realistically should probably get involved in, but it seems fun nonetheless, and I enjoy watching. I like the idea of that, but I don't know if I would actually do that. Having, the podcast, that's something technically that we do to fill our time, as well as our YouTube stuff, like spending the time to record clips and then, of course, edit them at the end of the week.
I do think, because we're kind of nearing the end of the episode here, my call to action for you guys that Megan and I have both like implemented to some extent that I feel like does help limit our screen time is to like turn off any and every notification that you can that like feasibly makes sense.
That's been so long that we've done that I forgot that was even like a possible strategy.
Like, some people, I think naturally like your phone settings are set up so like every possible notification that you can get, you do get. And naturally,
and then you're drawn to like look at them and check them out, and then you get stuck on the app that notified you.
Yeah. So personally, I have basically all social media app notifications turned off, with the exception of like, I think Instagram DMs I get notifications for, but like otherwise I don't even think
I wouldn't have to open up the app for that. That's like so
Facebook,
just like
nothing. Twitter X, nothing. Snapchat does like give me a pop-up bubble, but not like a drop down. We don't have
it, like we don't use it that much. Yeah. It's only us sending stuff to like Haley and Maggie at times.
Sometimes it will, like, for whatever reason, have a
when there's
notification
a
pop up.
Person that added you.
Yes, and I'm like,
but it does not go away. Care.
But whatever.
It drives me insane.
But like text messages, I do have notifications on for because I'm not crazy. But yeah,
that is a good one.
Is like a easy to implement. You really do not need to know notifications
every single thing on every single app. That's a good one. I'll report back next week, you guys, with how my TikTok time limit is going. And we'll see if this is manageable for me to continue maintaining the hour-and-a-half limit. Maybe I'll decrease it. Who knows?
We hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you want, feel free to comment your own screen time, either in the YouTube comments or on the episode post. If you have not, follow our Instagram. It's at According To, all spelled out. We also have a YouTube channel. Just search According To Podcast. You should be able to find it.
And we have a book club now. You guys can join.
Lots of ways you can interact with us. But I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will talk to you guys next Thursday.
Bye.